So that pentagram footage that I was looking for, I found it. But before I get to that, some other interesting notes. Look at this house right here. The address is 3332. And of course, 2 times 333 is 666. How very blatant. Now look over here. Let me play the video a little more. There's the pentagram, and there's a dinosaur in this vehicle here. He's standing in a destroyed vehicle. Let me back it up some. So what are the odds that the house we see this guy walk by right before the house with the pentagram has an address of 3332? Again, 2 333s is 666. So, yeah. Already damning right off the bat. And here comes the dinosaur, which reminds me of something, which I'll get to in a few minutes. And there, very blatantly in the window, an upside down star. If that isn't a pentagram, I don't know what is. And it's at the house that has the dinosaur, the next door neighbors to the 3332 house. So this is all very in our face. And no, I'm not going to play this footage because the demon recording this footage is a vile piece of filth. The moment I started playing this, she was yelling, and she yelled some blasphemous, let's just say she yelled a blasphemous phrase, including God's name, and really, really irritated me. So I just muted the whole thing. I'm not going to listen to that demon. But yeah, there's the pentagram that I was searching for. I found it on Facebook the other day, but now I found the actual video. And there's more in the video with the damning address. And this dinosaur reminds me of an incredibly bizarre 1994 movie called Tammy and the T-Rex, starring Denise Richards. And wouldn't you know, considering what's been in the news recently, Paul Walker. And yes, I have seen this movie. It's very bizarre, to say the least. But Paul Walker's character is attacked by zoo animals after Denise Richards' character, ex-boyfriend, kidnaps him and throws him in a lion pit, or a lion's den. And afterwards, a mad scientist, played by Terry Kaiser, who plays Bernie from the Weekend at Bernie's movies, transplants Walker's brain into a mechanical dinosaur body. So yeah, it's a very odd movie, to say the least. And of course, I say the timing is interesting because Walker, who died on 11/30/2013 in an automobile accident, connects to the recent Anthony Joshua crash in a big way, because that crash was on 12/29, and from Walker's death to that date is 12 years, 29 days, which is the date of the crash. So very obvious connection there, just like the incredibly huge connection I made with the 12/29 in Latin with Boxer Centauros from Southland Tales. And Paul Walker, of course, famous for being in the Fast and the Furious franchise, which also stars Dwayne Johnson, who played Boxer Centauros. And I already mentioned this stuff in my past few videos, so for more on that, and go back to that, I'm just showing this again because the Tammy and the T-Rex thing connects to Walker. But those videos were done before this whole ice thing, and I wanted to point out something here. Walker died 44 days before Anthony Joshua's crash. 4 + 1 + 2 is 7. 47, Trump the 47 president. And pay attention to that number there. Because going from Walker's death to the ice incident date, note how the 12 becomes a 21. Just the same two numbers reversed. So again, this would also be 47 because 4 plus 2 plus 1 is 7, 4, 7. And I want you to check out this scene from Tammy and the T-Rex in particular. Doesn't this car look very, very similar to the car that the T-Rex is standing in Minnesota? Very, very similar. And by the way, as the mechanical T-Rex, Paul Walker's character takes revenge on the people who threw him to the lions, which is this guy, and yes, she was involved too. But yeah, that car looks very similar, does it not? I mean, look at it. It looks like it could almost be the same vehicle. Regardless, it does look very similar. So I do think that there's a strong possibility that they are referencing Tammy and the T-Rex with this right here. And I'm going to show my proof of that. Beyond the blatant similarities of the vehicles. And by the way, the license plate on that car that the T-Rex attacks is GCG 705. You type that in, it equals 722, and 722 is 611's reverse date. Now, if you take out the numbers, GCG just equals 17. And what else equals 17? Yep. So the movie came out December 21st, 1994. And here's the proof I was talking about, because from that release date to the date of the ice thing, 1,620 weeks. There's your 162, 611 number perfectly. Now, what are the odds of that? And they have that dinosaur right there in a car that looks similar to the one in the movies. What's the point in that dinosaur being there? And with the Anthony Joshua thing and all the other stories interconnecting to each other, and with the Walker thing connecting to that, yeah, I think it all connects to this too. It's all interwoven. And when you look at that, if we go from the anniversary of the release of Tammy and the T-Rex to that, it's exactly 17 days. Ice equals 17, and it happened on 1/7. Tyrannosaurus Rex equals 253. The 253rd day of the year is 9/10. The Charlie Kirk event, which was 119 days before the ice event. And T-Rex is 67. Along with the 22, just like Elvis, just like Jesse. And for some reason, the original title was Tanny and the Teenage T-Rex. And Denise Richards' character is still named Tanny in the movie, even though they changed the title. Of course, Tanny equals our 7-4. I've told you all the coding about July 4th here recently. Also, our 444 in Sumerian, which is half of 888. Also interesting to note that Denise Richards was born on 2/17. The year of the fire horse starts on 2/17 later this year. And 2/17 is the big number in the movie Weapons, released on 8/8, the Lionsgate portal date. It's also your 12/7, 127 numbers. And speaking of both 7-4 and 2/17, in Tammy and the T-Rex, Paul Walker plays Michael Brock, which equals 100. And 100 just so happens to be the 74th composite number, and the divisor sum is 217. Also equals 55, the Satan number in reduction, just as Minneapolis does. Also our 12/7, 8-4, 127. And in Satanic, your 555. And don't forget the other of the Twin Cities is St. Paul, like Paul Walker. And to end this portion of the video on an amusing note, can you believe the nonsense coming from the left? Look at this crap. Painting this demon as if she was some freaking folk hero or something. It's absolutely absurd. I mean, my goodness, I saw this and I just could not help but laugh. I mean, it's really all you can do with these clueless, just vile leftists. And yes, I know it's a left-right paradigm, but again, like I said in my previous video, the leftists are by far the ones with the most disgusting views. And just look at this nonsense. Idol worship of a disgusting demonic creature who probably wasn't even a real person, if we're being honest. But anyway, moving on. I wanted to touch on a few other brief news stories since this is a shorter video. I just wanted to show because I found the pentagram thing. So, Trump warned credit card crackdown will trigger financial crisis for millions. Credit card count crackdown, our big triple C, 333. So wouldn't you know that credit card crackdown gives us our 162.611 and 216.84, both in the Sumerian ciphers. And again, I've been finding a ton of those numbers in those ciphers, as I've said, along with the typical beast system numbers. Also 177. And the 177th composite number just so happens to be 226. Michelle Trachtenberg, of course, died on 2/26, signaling how big of a year 2026 will be. Trachtenberg, all about those 26 codes, all about the tower sacrifice, and all about portals. Also, if you look down here in the conversions, octal, from 127, our 12-7, 127, 12 times 7 is 84. 2261, you're backwards, 162, 611 yet again. And by the way, I'm saving the most interesting of these newer stories for last, but check this one out. 18-year-old Newtown High School senior dies suddenly, school officials say. Now, where is that? Yep, right there. I'm not going to say it because of obvious reasons, but we know all about that place now, don't we? Comedy genius Mr. Rosen's supposed hometown. How very interesting to see this place in the news again. It says Abby Green died at her home on Thursday afternoon. Well, of course, being where she's from, Abby Green equals our 8-4. Also our 48, which not only is our backwards 8-4, but the 48th prime is 223, which is our backwards 322 skull and bones. And of course, here we have our big upside down 91101 number. Shocker, right? And just her last name, Green. 162, 611, 142. The 142nd day of the year is 5/22. Tower Sacrifice episode, The Gift air date. Memphis's founding date. Our 108, 27. January 27th is the 27th day of the year. 127, 12 times 7 is 84. You're 36. And of course, her initials AG are 1717 again, ice. And wouldn't you know, she died on 1/8. And she was 18 years old. And check out the name of the congregation she supposedly attended. Gives us 226. Again, Michelle Trachtenberg died on 226. Also 109. 10-9 is Yale Skull and Bones founding date. 711 in Latin. And I want you to take a look at when and where her funeral service will be held. January 18th at 10:30 a.m. And I want you to see how they hide things, because Sunday, January 18 at 10:30 a.m., if you type out 18 and it was 18, it didn't have a TH at the end, it wasn't 18th, you get your 322 skull and bones, and you get your 142. Again, the 142nd day of the year is 522. And then if you copy and paste that line again and type out the 1030, we get our 123 murder code and our 216. And here's the address, no alterations made. It gives us two backwards 322 skull and bones numbers. Hunting Town Road. Remember all those Hunting Dawn codes we were getting a while back? And sort of an interesting picture there with the sun, almost like doing an Egyptian hand sun worship, Ra, the sun god. And look at what 18-year-old in-town high school senior equals. Our 180, our 162, 611 number, and our backwards 162, 611 number. What are the odds, especially coming from that town, right? Oh, and a 45. Add her name to it, and we even get a 228. And don't forget that the 48th prime number is 223, your backwards 322, just like this is your backwards 84. There's also this story about Olympic champion Jim Hartung, dead at 65. And look at the author of the story, Ryan Gatos. Psst. That entire headline gives us our 228 in Latin. Type out the 65 and get your 217 weapons number. And remember that Skull and Bones was founded on the 282nd day of the year, and 282 can be both your 162 and 216, depending on which 2 you multiply by the 8. Jim Hartung, 121, the 121st day of the year is May Day, the day of pagan sacrifice. 59th day of the year is 228. Olympic champion Hartung, your backwards 162, your 11-7, your 333, your 108, even your 666 year 1998. And of course his initials J and H equals 108. Former U.S. Olympic gymnast, 10-9, Skull and Bones founding date, your backwards 611. He won gold in 84, my birth year, and everyone born in 1984 will turn 42 in 2026. Also a member of the Nebraska Cornhuskers. Nebraska Cornhuskers equals our 222 order out of chaos, as above, so below number. Of course, we know that Trump was inaugurated on 120. We know that Epstein was born on 120. Moving along, we have another story here about a Stratford High swimmer who died after getting sick on family trip. Parents say she's perfect. Now, who else was called perfect recently? The young Miss Palmerado who fell off of the Briar Cliff building in Atlanta on 12/19. And remember that Palmerado's name equals your 165, 66 twin number, and 84. And remember that Trump was born on the 165th day of the year. If you haven't watched my video on that, go check it out. It has a big 8-4 connection as well. Stratford High swimmer equals 253. The 253rd day of the year is 9/10 Charlie Kirk. Our 10/9 Skull and Bones founding date, and our backwards 611. Parents say she's perfect. equals our backwards 611, same exact cipher. Her name, Christina J. Sinche, equals our 162 number down here in Sumerian yet again. Also our 10-2 or 102, and our 177, which I showed you the properties of earlier. Take out the middle initial, get your 77, your 10-2, Frank's prediction date, and Donnie Darko. 167, which is the 39th prime. Remember that Michelle Trachtenberg died at the age of 39. And spelling Christina that way gives us our 10-9 skull and bones date. Also our 8-4 in reverse Sumerian. And check out where she died. Yale New Haven Hospital. And it having Yale in the name in standard gives us a backwards 322 along with a 33. Fun trip takes a nightmarish turn. The family of 5 traveled a lot. They went sightseeing in Colombia over the holidays. She had a headache one day but slept it off. Her dad said she felt better on New Year's Eve and was partying it up, he said. Partying it up. Our big 888 and our 67. And of course, note that her dad's name is Christian and her name was Christina. Now, what are the odds of this? Right after the partying it up quote, she was normal, he said. She was normal equals 888 again. Huh. And while there's surely more to that story, I wanted to finally get to the story I was most interested in showing. Conjoined twin dies during surgery to separate him from brother, who died shortly after their birth. So right off the bat, we have our twin connection. Marcos and Matthias were born connected at the hip on January 6th. And look what both their names put together in a gematria calculator equals in Satanic, our 611 number from the twins. The area of Brazil it happened in was Goiás, gives us our 8-4, backwards 42. Our 226. The Goiás state government made a statement about the case. That equals our 111. Zacharias Khalil was the pediatric surgeon. His name equals your 123 murder code. And just his last name gives us our EL number and our 222. In a social media statement, Khalil said in the early hours of January 8th, of course it would be 1-8, one of the conjoined twins suffered successive cardiorespiratory arrests and passed away. Given the seriousness of this situation, they performed emergency surgery to separate the brothers in an attempt to save the second baby. The surgery was technically successful, however, despite all the efforts, the second newborn also did not survive. The dad's name gives us our 228 in Sumerian. And the mother's name gives us our backwards 611 again. It said they were classified as Ichthyopagus, which the Goiás state government said is a rare twinning condition in which the babies are born connected at the hip and may share anatomical structures requiring intensive care from birth. And wouldn't you know that condition equals our 12-7 Pearl Harbor date, our building's 127 numbers. And remember that 12 times 7 is 84. Also our 55 Satan number, our 527 Golden Gate Bridge birthday, and our 555. Also the 62nd day of the year is 3-3. And they were joined at the hip, which gives us our 33. Also our 77 in Latin. But anyway, the main thing I wanted to show was the pentagram and all that stuff at the beginning. I just wanted to go through these other stories to show some more interesting connections throughout the video. All glory to God, and thank you for watching.